Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Glynn Johnson OHPART right here at the tip of my finger .10423. This is a conversion to a hold open for the 100 series. This is the package, obviously. Here is what you get in the package, instructions. These are linked to down below. We're going to take a look at those. You're, of course, going to get the hold open mechanism itself. This is where you'll set the tension of the hold open. The hold open, what creates the hold open within the body itself. You're going to get the bolts, the bushing, the collar, the nut that is required for all of this. Bolt, 2 screws to hold the unit in, the bushing, then this trim ring. Now, there are, it's not uncommon to need to change the function. Many, many years ago, there was a time when overhead stops were sold in their functions, and that was it. And at some point many years ago, the factory said, gosh, we could really save a lot of return goods authorization requests if we sell people the conversion kits, which they'll buy. And this client is indeed buying these because you've got a problem of the overhead units are put in, 6 months goes by, these don't function correctly. Finger pointing, what's the path of least resistance? Buy all new units or buy these conversion kits. And the conversion kits are always less expensive naturally than the entire unit. So, just a couple of basic dimensional properties. The overall length of the bracket itself, about 4 3/8. Overall, about 1 inch wide. The spring that's coming down, the overall width of the spring, I'd say it'd be about 5 1/2 inch or so, 5 5/8. Let's switch to the screen view where we can take a closer look at the supporting documentation. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. Here is the item that we are looking at. Not too terribly much to see here, but let's look at the photographs down below and then we'll look at the installation instructions. There's our packaging. There are your contents. Spring, adjustment for the spring tension, hold open mechanism, screw package that's inside of there. Okay, now the installation instructions, let's take a look at those. What we have here is, let's dive into those installation instructions. So we're going to be doing, this is a conversion to a hold open, so it's going to be a stop only to hold open on page 3. However, figure 1 we're going to look at as well because this is the cross-section of what it needs to look like. All right, so let's do this. Let's split the screen like this. We'll have our stop only to hold open here. We will have our figure 1 here. Okay. Remove the overhead unit from the door and frame. Slide the arm assembly out of the channel. Sure, that's going to have to come out. Attach the hold open bracket to the bottom of the channel with flathead screws at each end of the bracket from the inside of the channel. So you can see that the spring assembly goes towards the center of the unit, towards the lock side of the door. They go on to tell us to install that slide arm assembly back into the channel. The T end of the slider to be away from the shock spring end of the channel. Okay. Grease the roller with graphite or white lithium. White lithium would be the preferred material from what I understand, which is not supplied. Reinstall the entire unit. And then you will set the tension through here on your, for the hold open is how you'll do that, as described in the original installation instructions. So I think we've gone over, wrapping up, discussing these parts and components. We're going to switch now back to the screen view, and we're going to dissect what all of those bolts are, so to speak, what all of these things do, because there's more to it than just screwing, attaching the hold open assembly in this step. So let's do that now. Now let's turn this around and let's do a little deeper dive on this weird set of bolts that you got here. So there is a link below this video to the installation instructions, and the installation instructions talk about this mystery hole that's not a mystery that you'll end up drilling into the face of the door. Well, that's for this knurled knob. That will allow you to mechanically release or set the hold open function on this. So as you look at the extended description, you're going to start to see how these pieces could really only be used together. You would want that, you're going to drill a hole into the door, and you'd want this bushing to be there, and you'll tighten that down onto this component here, and once that's tightened down, you'll be able to turn that knob and do this with it. The instructions say drill a 5/8 hole. Okay, I can drill a 5/8 hole. You want a 5/8 hole? Fine. This knob diameter is 0.761, so 0.761. 5/8, a little bit large, but nonetheless. But then there's this super mysterious gizmo, rivet, trim ring, thimble with a hole in it, grommet. This is a non-ferrous piece of material, golden color. I'm going to go with brass. That starts to tip me off of what it could be used for, because material like brass, being self-lubricating, is very much seen and used in applications where you have things moving against each other. As you look at the installation instructions, you start to say to yourself, well, why do I need a 5/8 hole? The OD of that bushing is, it's going to go like, well, pardon me, it won't go like that. It's going to go like that. I had it shown like this. That might be okay, but the head of the bolt does not fit in there very, very well. So I'm wondering, and that bushing fits in there super well. So I'm wondering if it's not installed this way. I'm tempted to say no, because that head is a little less elegant than having it concealed. So my guess is that it is installed this way. But now we're back to this weird 5/8 hole. Okay, self-lubricating material, where would we use it? Well, it turns out that it's going to install just like this. So that 5/8 hole that you drill, that's going to serve as that self-lubricating piece of material that will go between the hole that you've drilled in the door and the backside of the knurled knob. Now, there's an internal note from the factory that you need a larger hole when you're using this. They don't say this, but when you're using these parts. Turns out that's true. 5/8 hole is not going to be adequate. When I put my caliper on here, that dimension where I'm measuring is coming closer to 0.66 inch. So 9/16 would probably 5/625, 0.625, 5/8. So maybe closer to 11/16, something in that range. The OD of this grommet is 0.97 inch. So 11/16 could be pretty much in the ballpark. 0.6875 is what that is. And again, this is measuring about 0.66 inch. So I'd probably be tempted to go with 11/16. Let's switch back to the screen view and let's take a closer look at the supporting documentation to kind of talk about where you use that weird piece of equipment that's in the bag. What do I do with these? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. The installation instructions don't tell me, so let's look. So back to our product, and in particular, some additional information that's here. Some additional information for you to take a look at. It breaks these parts out. This is a document from the factory. Shows this grommet, which is, they do list it made of brass, and I have every belief that it is indeed brass-based material. This would require a larger prep and door. And the only thing that I can come up with is that they mean when you're doing this adjustable thumb turn hold open, non-hold open prep, when you're using this grommet. Now that is, so this is what I'm thinking it will look like. Then that reference I'm talking about is right here. .5/8 drill for control knob. Omit lock mechanism, mortise, and control knob if friction. So if you're doing a friction holder open, a friction model, there would not be a knurled knob. The HP version is an automatic hold open, where with this you can set that hold open with that turn knob, and more appropriately disengage the hold open. Push the door open a little bit and disengage it. So that reference to require a larger door prep, in my estimation, is because of that grommet. It's got to be bigger than 5/8. They could easily amend this. If you are using the gold-colored the brass grommet, increase your drill size to whatever they call out, 11/16. So that's the mystery of that weird part that's in there. I know it boggled my mind for a hot moment, and I had to reach out to the factory, who was all too eager to help, and to them I very much say thank you very much. Let's wrap up this video on camera. Now, in conclusion, we've talked about this now about to death, so we're going to let that all be. If you want to convert, we talked earlier about why you would want to do that. Oops, brought the wrong function. What can we do? Well, we can't take them back. It's been a year, so let's see what we can do about a conversion kit. Thankfully, the folks over at Glynn Johnson were, I spoke to 3 people there this morning about determining the whereabouts of where this will wear about itself on the door. The confusion I had about it, I had come to the conclusion that it was that sort of a shim or washer or wafer, but only because it's a self-lubricating material, and you'll see self-lubricating materials, you can feel it in your hand when you run your hand over it, are very commonly used like in the face of latch bolts. So latch bolts are often self-lubricating because they're a little smoother action, and when I saw something self-lubricating, it was something that would pass something else, or that turn knob. There's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Glynn Johnson products that we sell. The name is utterly synonymous with overhead stops and holders, but also with hospital push-pull latches. And if you go back far enough, Glynn Johnson had their AA and BB series touch latches. AA small, BB large. Those are now under the marketing umbrella of Ives. They're called the CL11 and CL12, small and large. But you will find references to the AA and the BB from Glynn Johnson. We've been selling those for decades. That's to be sure. Any questions on the OHPART.10423 conversion to hold open for their 100 series overhead stops or any other Glynn Johnson product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you very much. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.